now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which of course means it is time for the Lolz band to get back together. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Brick75, aka Brian Hooper. How are we doing tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. It feels like, the world moves so fast. Every time we check in, it seems like we've had another paradigm shift in sports or news or culture. So, just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, it does. Things are changing quick, but hopefully they'll change back soon.
So, but I mean, look, we have been very content to have the world watching our sport, League of Legends DFS. I mean, the prize pools are just getting massive right now.
Yeah, they're the like mid and high stakes are going up since the pandemic hit, and the nightly big tournament has been 50 or 100K pretty much every night for like 7 days now, something like that.
Yeah. So what of the big thing last week, we had Osimo on. We had started to talk about a little bit of funny business potentially going on in League of Legends. I think, as a show that tries to stay away from toxicity, sometimes we also have to call it out. And, you can't just put lipstick on a pig. Sometimes we just got to get in there and root it out. Brian, where do you stand now 1 week later? I know you've been deep in the lab a little bit. You've been looking at some of this line movement. I guess let's just say this. On a scale of 0 to 100, what percentage chance do you think there's funny business of some sort going on?
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I would say any kind, right? It could be any form of funny business. Like that I'd have to put pretty high. I'd probably put that at like 70% or something. That there's some sort of be it an individual or a team or someone in the league or something with the servers. Who knows? Doing it, since they're at home now.
So I'd say for the casual fans who have been playing League of Legends, they have definitely noticed, just even from their own experience, a high volume of these favorites, let's say 70% and higher favorites. We say 70%, we're talking about implied closing Vegas line, their odds losing. And of late, we've seen, some specific teams like RNG in the LPL continually lose. Now 3 of 4 as 70% plus favorites. Talk to people a little bit about kind of the research you were doing looking at late breaking line movement.
Well, there's not much we can really do to figure out what's going on, as just DFS gamblers. But you can at least attempt to look at line movement and see what's happening. And so, Vegas lines, sportsbook lines work where they release a line early in the day or the night before, and it's small market. It's a small market, a small limit on that market. So whatever, $500 or something's the max you can bet. And throughout the day, they take in money and then raise that limit as they get closer to the lock time, the start of the game, and that's when the biggest amount of money can be bet. So sometimes late movement in lines can tell you something's up, like a player's hurt or something, like in football or something like that. Or, football's not so much because they have to release the lines an hour in, but who knows, some inside information can happen, or, for some reason the line movement can change. And that doesn't necessarily tell us what we want to know, but it's nice to keep track of and see, what is happening in the wee hours of the night. And, honestly, and the problem with late line movement too is it could just be some big bettors betting on some mispriced lines. It could just be that they're putting down heavy money on it. And, contrary to popular opinion, at least I think this is popular opinion, sportsbooks don't move their lines because of a lot of people betting it or the public bets it. They move their line because the sharp players are betting it. And so they, like sites like Pinnacle, know which players are winning players and losing players, and they'll adjust their lines based on what they bet, not what just some random guy bets. And then the retail books like Bovada and the smaller books that'll ban you, if you sneeze on a winning line, they just copy Pinnacle. They just copy the market leader in that specific sport. So when Penny moves their lines, something's going on, but it might just be that they're moving their lines because the line was mispriced. And so the only actual evidence we have is that night of Rogue Warriors where Yan, we obviously we know for a fact was throwing the game, has been suspended for 2 years. And in that game, up until 11 o'clock Central, the line moved in their favor. So if the line moves in their favor, you would think, why, okay, if the line moves on the team that you want to lose, you should be betting on the other team. So, well, there is one thing because I wasn't keeping track of this back then because I had no idea that, there was going to be someone caught cheating in this. In Rocket League too, there was a team caught cheating or taking a dive. So I wasn't keeping track. So I stopped at 11. So we don't know what happened in those last 3 hours or whatever. But, you could speculate that they could buy the line up during the day, especially when the markets are small. And if there's someone that Pinnacle's going to move the line for, and then you smash a live line or you smash the line 5 minutes before lock on the other side. So, or they could just bet it in an off-market sports book.
Right.
And the penny is just like regular sharp bettors. And they didn't know that anything was going on. They were betting RW.
So let's pull back a little bit. I think, like you said, our one piece of hard evidence is we know Wehan was match fixing. We know that some of these line movements look fishy. They don't necessarily mean anything necessarily, but they do kind of sound the alarm bells a little bit. I think the question that most DFS players are going to ask, in general, the blanket feeling is to be like, okay, this is rigged. I don't want to play this game. I can't trust this game. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, maybe this is naive of me. If this is rigged from a betting perspective, I have a hard time believing that whoever's rigging it is also dabbling in DFS to take advantage of it. Would you say that even if it is rigged, that at least the DFS players are all playing under the same playing field still?
Yeah, that's basically how you got to apply it, unless you could figure out a way to figure out what's going on. Or somehow the person who's bribing them and you can ask them, like there's nothing you could do about it. And so since it is an even playing field, theoretically it shouldn't matter that much, but I would still, we don't have any evidence besides the Rocket League incident and the Yan incident. So we don't know for sure what is going on. So we can't really prove anything, but you could like playing a contrarian style, which you should do anyways, in our opinion, you might want to do that even more. And so another thing that's been going on besides Yan and our RNG, is just the amount of upsets, right? Yeah. And this could just be variance. And, sometimes a bunch of 85% favorites lose night after night for 2 weeks straight. And the amount of, I put this on my Twitter, the correlation matrix I showed on one of my tweets where, just to explain it a little bit, this is how many upsets there were. Normally, the odds to win, the money line that the sportsbook puts out is 1-for-1 correlated for how they will win. So like if a team has 70% chance to win, they basically have like a 70% chance to win. If you lower that, then the correlation would go down, right? So these upsets have been happening so frequently that that's been flipped. So the more Vegas predicts someone to win, the less likely they are to win the last 2 weeks. If that
Yeah.
does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
compared to wins and losses of what actually occurred.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway, Brian mentioned it, being contrarian, which, we've said you should probably be doing as is, but most of the projections you're using, regardless of which site's projections, are going to be factoring in Vegas lines into their projections. So obviously, those are going to skew towards the heavy teams. It's why everyone feels so burned by RNG. They've been popping as great values because that's reflected in the Vegas projection. So you as a player, if you're hand building, you need to be looking, Osmo has that top stacks tool, which is a really convenient way to see how owned these stacks are going to be. And if you're looking at these favorites and see super high ownership, those might be opportunities, especially in the LPL, with those heavy kill games to look more contrarian with your hand builds, knowing that those projections are just reflecting to a large extent the Vegas odds.
Yeah, I would think. I don't know exactly how Alex builds his, but I imagine they're probably baked in there to some extent, and whoever else is putting them out there. I mean, normally you would. So maybe this is a good time to talk about outlaw golf, really, in the comparison between the two, since that's kind of the only other everyday sport or 3 times a week sport. I've heard people say, well, outlaw golf is even more likely to be rigged, because their prize pool for the actual golfers was less than the DK prize pool for us DFS players, which is insane that you can make more. But if you think about it, now the prize pools are so big in League of Legends, they're bigger too, because you can make $100,000 in one night in DFS. That's way more than these guys are getting paid, in one night in League of Legends. But the reason I think it's not apples to apples is, in League of Legends, I looked this up. Like last year, there was I'm sorry, not League of Legends, eSports. There was like $8 billion gambled, right, on eSports worldwide. That's not huge, but that's a pretty big market. And I bet it's, way up this year. It was projected to go way up anyways. And now with the coronavirus, it's probably double that. So the market is way more liquid, a lot larger than the outlaw sports, the outlaw golf tour, right? And the most popular lines for golf are generally like the winner take all lines. And those lines are usually one-way lines. So you can't bet the loser, right? So who's going to tank? You can't pay someone to win. They're trying to win anyways, right? So you can only pay them to tank, and it does you no good because there's no two-way lines. You mentioned this a few minutes ago before we came on the stream, that maybe they could do it a head-to-heads, but I don't think any books are offering that for outlaw golf.
Yeah.
And so like the market's so small, I bet the limits are tiny. I haven't looked, but I doubt you're going to be able to get enough money down on some site, even if there was a two-way lines, which there aren't. So like outlaw golf, I would be like, I would have no worries playing on that. Besides, it's just they could stop the tournament, and say this thing's over. Sejka has coronavirus. We gotta go. That's the only guy I know who played on the PGA Tour who's in that playing this week.
It's funny to think about. I mean, well, I'm going to check it on the chat here first. Eric Johnson saying, I wish we could get real sports back, because we're talking about match fixing in League of Legends. We're talking about just very small markets in outlaw golf. We were playing iRacing a couple weekends ago. A couple guys just rage quit the event. Like all these variables that I guess in a way, like rage quitting an event is like twisting your ankle in the first quarter of an NBA game and sitting out. I guess they're kind of similar.
Maybe. Did you see who we got in chat here?
Oh boy. Alex Baker in the chat. He just revealed more in that one comment than he did the entire show last week. Let's check in on a few other chats here, because we got people catching up with our conspiracy theories. Orlando Crown says even Vegas is guessing at this point. Burger Fan 69 nice says, could it be these heavy favorites just experiment more against weaker teams? the reason I would say not necessarily the case for RNG is because they've been battling for a playoff spot, and aren't they on the fringe right now of getting in?
And also all these kind of arguments we hear against, and no, we're not saying definitively anything one way or the other, obviously, but we know there's been some cheating, and that's it. But like all these arguments, the way it would work in other markets is the market would reflect it. So like I heard a couple where it's like, oh, the game is closer now since the last patch, so there isn't a difference between the teams. It's like this is an $8 billion, $20 billion market with the sharpest bettors taking shots at it. The line would never get to 85-15 if that were the case. It would be bet down by the sharp bettors.
Right.
Right. And so like pretty much all these arguments should be reflected in the market. And then someone will be like, oh, well, maybe a whole bunch of people are betting. That's not how it works. The way it works, the sharp bettors move the lines. That's how it works. Read some sports betting books if you disagree with me. But I can't.
After the show's over, we want you to keep watching, and then you can go read the sports betting books.
They're not gonna read them. It doesn't
matter. So what? Did you have anything else more about Outlaw Golf? I haven't been in the Outlaw Golf streets. Has it been a fun sweat for you?
It's all right. They don't update as quickly as PGA, obviously, because I'm assuming they're just calling the course.
It's not televised, right?
They have a leaderboard on their website, which is like a high schooler design type of website, and it updates by every 9 holes. So, but it seems quick enough. So I mean, I like it. I love golf's probably my favorite of the sports. So I like it. Really quick before we move on, RNG, I wanted to go over their late line movement really quick.
Yeah.
So last night they were an 83.1% favorite, not VIG adjusted. They moved up 2 percentage points plus. So people were betting on them up until 1:00 last night. I got these numbers. Okay. So They went up to that time. The game before that, they stayed about even, right? The line movement stayed about even. The game before that, and they were 80% favorites. Game before that, they were 85% favorites. The line went down 1.5 points. And let's see, I got there were 86% favorites before that. The line went up 1. So, and then the one before that, they were 87-point favorites. So, and the line went down 1.2. So the late line movement, and another problem is I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. to grab these lines. So they're not the actual last closing lines where some craziness can happen. Who knows? But all that you could really see there is that Vegas definitely has been less confident in him. It's been dropping a couple points, across the board. But the late line movement seems to be all over the place.
Brian, how many likes do you need on this video to stay up for closing line tallying?
15,000.
15. There it is, guys. Smash the like button. If this gets 15,000 likes, Brian will go live on Periscope and stay up and announce the line movement he's seeing at lock. You just heard it here first. We will also set, I guess it would be a reverse stretch goal. Before the show, Brian told me, he's like, dude, did you check out the lobby? There's $100,000 up top tomorrow, the Insomnia special, $15 entry. And he said, I think I know a guy that you might need in your lineup to win $100,000. And I said, really? I was like, you're just going to tell me? And he said, well, I'll do it if we get net 35 likes on the show. And I said, net? What about just 35 likes? He said, no, net. Because you never know what assholes are going to come in there and start downvoting. So just making sure, Brian, will you hold up your end of the deal? Net 35 likes, a player that you need to win 100,000 tonight?
You got it. Yeah.
All right, there you go. And once we hit that, then your stretch goal, 15,000 likes. Brian will stay up around the clock for you. Let's circle. We got a question here from Cedric. He says he is new to LOL. He's wondering if players on a team who win 2-0 are a better target than teams who win 2-1, basically citing that games not played bonus being worth it. What are your thoughts on looking at or trying to project 2-0s versus 2-1s?
I think, actually, I haven't really run the numbers on specifically what the thing you want is you would like the 3-gamer, right? You want it to go 3 games, but you want it to go a bunch of kills in that game you lose too. So you don't want, like you win, you get 11 team kills, you lose, you only got 2 team kills, and then you win, you got 11 team kills, right? So like just going 3 games is not that great. Here's a little tidbit I was thinking about last night is if you go solo D, you do want 2-0 because a 20-point bonus or what's the bonus for defense? Is it 15 or 20? I can't think of it. But either way,
I think it's 20 on I think it's 15 on both. Yeah.
For defense. Either way, defenses don't score that many points.
Hey, right? Just considering this is our 104th show, I just don't want you calling it defense still.
I meant team, yeah. I was updating my football model, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's I think that makes sense too, and that's a good note. And especially too, I think if you are hand building lineups, would you say then the fact that we know the LCK is a little bit lower scoring, getting maybe your 2-0 sweep from an LCK team, maybe there's a little something there?
Maybe from the defense.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Put the defense in that solo team spot.
Yeah.
And, stack up the other ones in the LPL. I mean, but I mean, I've said this before. Like, if there's value in the LCK, you can stack them up. And they also they're lesser owned. It seems like every time because you never know who's starting for them, which is another headache.
Yeah, 3,000 likes. Brian will stay up and also release the starting lineups for each game tonight.
Personally call Kenzie.
How do we not? I mean, yeah. This we need a Kenzie's guys. Let me tell you, if you're not following Kenzie, if you don't turn notifications on and translate every one of his tweets, I mean, they are like a David Lynchian fever dream. I mean, he goes from tweeting out starting lineups to recommending a hotel just without missing a beat. The guy is an absolute legend.
Yeah. I love that guy. He's a good.
He's he's really one of the few positive forces for good in this community. One other thing we wanted to talk about, a popular refrain on this show from day one has been 4-3 stacking until further notice. 4-3 stacking until further notice. Brian, has our day of reckoning perhaps arrived?
I think so. What do you think? Before I go, what do you think?
So if I'm looking at this $100,000 prize pool and I think that I can solo ship it with a 4-3 stack, I think I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I think so. So here's one of the bigger differences is when we first started this, the prize pools were 60,000, 80,000, something like that. I think one of the shows we did, like they finally got up to 100 GP, not payout, full GPP. You're gonna have a quarter of the amount of players, quarter amount of the entries in those smaller GPPs than you do now that they're up to 50 and 100K to first, which was the total prize pool before. So the more entries you have, the more combinations of stacks you're playing against. So there's just a tremendous amount of dupes going on in the big one, the Titans Fury, right? That happens every night.
Real quick, Brian, would you say there's more toxicity in League of Legends or more dupes?
I don't know. I really don't know. It might be duplicates.
So, Brian, maybe is the next rallying cry of this show to remove the duplicates in League of Legends?
Yeah, maybe that should be our that should be our mantra. Toxicity be damned. Don't
We got to get rid of the dupe. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off though. Keep going.
Yeah, so like the dupes thing. The only other problem is like that dupes. The first lineup is often a dupe. So I don't know yet where the line should be drawn. To be perfectly honest, if this was like the NBA, I'd be trying desperately. I don't want a 50 dupe team or something like that in the NBA. It's not worth it. Pretty much any of the other major sports. There's a chance that like you just have to suck it up and know that you're like some of your lineups are going to be dupes, but they're better than leaving 10K on the table, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Here's a question, a thought experiment for you. I guess I don't know exactly how to phrase it. I was going to say, like, what percentage, if a 4-3 lineup won and again, you're probably chopping it, but a 4-3 lineup won 90% of the time, was the top lineup on a slate. Or I guess what percentage threshold would compel you to still be building a majority 4-3 lineups?
Of how many entries are in?
Yeah, let's talk just like the big contest, the Titan, the whatever, when you can put in 150, the big prize up top. Obviously there's enough variations, some 4-2-1s, 3-3-1s that are winning that make that a worthwhile goal. But I'm just saying, like, if the frequency was higher for 4-3s winning, would it just be like the game is almost broken and that the settings need to be changed because there's no way around it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is they didn't know how. Obviously, no one could have guessed that this was going to happen, and the game was working perfectly fine for 200, 300 person entry GPPs, which is what they were before. Maybe some of their bigger ones were 700 or something like that. I would guess. And then you just 4-3 and you just hope everyone else doesn't. They don't know it. They don't know it works. Now they like everybody, probably 80 or 90% of all, no, probably more than that. Probably 90% of all lineups are 4-3 or 4-2.
Yeah. I real quick need to, before the chat gets trolled, Drew Matthews in the chat, he's trolling you guys. He's also known as Reddit Cheek on the DFS sites, has been known to take down a tournament or two. This guy has never put the team in his captain slot. So don't listen to him tell you that is preferred.
He said defense too. So
because he was double trolling. He's trolling you. It's really just an all around toxic comment. Although someone mentioned, is this the night of team captain Binks? Jay Kari says that because that's been your theory for a while. I think we want this to happen.
Yes. Yeah. And then a whole bunch of people will be 4-3s with team captain and team in the captain slot. That'd be nice.
One other thing someone asked here in the comments that I wanted to touch on, Eric says 4-3 stacking with 2 ADCs in your lineup. Now, I've watched some of Mr. Alex Osimo Baker's videos, and I see him really twiddling the knobs, trying to force these ADCs and mids into his lineups. Brian, would you say that Osimo doesn't trust his own projections to just let the lineup shake out how they may? Or why is this man that we've known to see atop the leaderboards trying to force these certain position groups into his captain?
First of all, he's not a man. He's an android.
That's true. We did establish that.
And whatever his programming tells him, he must do. He must obey. But there's probably the reason he does that is because there's more to DFS than just projections, right? And plugging them into an optimizer and hitting optimize. So he said this in a bunch of his videos that there's so much more upside with an ADC. And so he wants as much upside when they go off that you get the most points possible in the captain slot. Which is a fine.
Don't hold back, Brian. Don't hold back.
I'm not holding back. I'm just saying, like, I just talked about how many damn dupes there are.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna dupe with 2 ADCs. Like that's not gonna not dupe you. Sorry, who said that?
Eric? The ADC question was Eric, but I think Osimo found a workaround for the dupes, and that's just to outdupe the dupes. He had 2 of the top winning lineups the other night. So I think Osimo is just going to outdupe us all.
Yeah, honestly, that is the second option. Is if you enter 150 lineups, enter 53 times. I'm not even joking.
No, I know you're not joking. That's why I'm laughing, because it might actually be viable.
Yeah, if the game is broken and like the correlations are so strong that trying to solo first is like going to cost you, entry fee or after entry fee, and you're never going to be able to bank often enough to make it up. Well, then if you bank 3 times,
there you
so
go.
It's 2,600. You at least get like 10 grand out of it.
Yeah, Alex said he's been accidentally doing this, but maybe it's just he's trying to get one step ahead of us as usual.
Well, one of them, I think he did like 100 of them or something. So I think one of them was an accident.
I don't know. Sometimes you make that one lineup, and the lineup's so nice you got to run it 100 times.
Well, androids don't make mistakes, so maybe there is some more to this.
Well, maybe he knows, we got guys like Jake Hari writing articles about Osimo's lineup construction. He's got to throw people off the scent every once in a while with a 100 lineup train.
That's right. Yeah, I think, and Jake's been silent after those articles. I wonder if he got, he had to, zip it up, or else, he's still there. He's still working for him, I think, but that could have been a mistake.
Yeah. If Alex is going to continue furnishing all of his various home offices with League of Legends sponsored chairs, Jake can't be giving away the goods like that. Let's see. Oh, we got Lou Sherman, my boy Lou Dog Lou, man of the eSports streets. I also love everyone in the chat is now all caps locking team. I think in a reaction to you calling it the defense. They really want to emphasize that. Lou passes along. Team literally has a ceiling because of the game. It's limited in the amount of objectives versus kills, which are actually higher ceiling, which makes sense. And I think that's what Brian and I were saying. I mean, we understand the nuances of the game inside and out. Sometimes it just doesn't come across in what we're saying.
Yeah, and sometimes we say defense instead of team. But I mean, I've ran some standard deviation in numbers, and team is like significantly lower. And what we've been saying since episode 100, don't put team in the captain slot. And I still don't think we're there. I'd much rather do a 4-2-1 or something else similar than team in the captain slot.
Yeah, do you guys if you follow Levitan during football season, he'll often talk about playing like a slot wide receiver. Adam Humphries is like a double condom move. Putting team in your captain is like a quadruple condom move. Okay, so just don't do it, guys. We got Brijal Patel saying, is correlating ADC and support a bad thing? Can you guys also explain this new meta thing I've been hearing about? Oh, yeah, we can definitely explain that. The bottom of the map is better with the new patch. Another thing I think Brian could definitely go deep on. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, the new patch. I know everything there is to know about it, but that's boring. So I won't talk about the patch. But I will reiterate what I said before: is people thinking that the patch is the reason for the upsets. That's not it. But there could be upsets, but Vegas would catch on. Sportsbooks will catch on quicker. So I don't give a shit about the patch in relation to the Vegas odds. The correlation, the ADC and support. No, okay, we're talking the Titans Fury here, the big one. When we're talking that, I think you gotta do one or two strategies. Go crazy with relaxing your correlations, or do 50 lineups 3 times. So that's in the Titans Fury. What you were talking about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. If we're getting like, 1,000 entry tournament, 500 to 2,000 maybe, you don't have to be nearly as crazy to try to solo that.
Yeah. It actually now is making me think, when I have seen in not the Titans Fury, but the smaller contests, and I'll see someone that has like the same lineup in there 10 times, my first inclination is this was a mistake. I mean, do you think some people are consciously already doing this?
Yeah, people do it in showdowns in the NFL all the time, and they do it in all pretty much every sport, even sports they definitely shouldn't. I don't think you should do it in showdown NFL, by the way, but this is because
there's so many combinations with showdown NFL.
There's not. Yeah, there's a decent amount. The The thing about this is there's only 5 people per team, right? And that doesn't leave a lot of combinations. And when everyone's stacking, that turns a team basically into like 2 or 3 players.
Yeah.
Because it's just one stack. That's just like, so there's not that many ways around it. There's even less players. They need to add like an assistant captain or something like that, like we were talking about before. Maybe even 2 slots.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of future LOL stuff and changes, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but now in the lobby we have qualifiers for an upcoming League of Legends online final, which online championship. It's to be determined when the date's going to be. It says a $400,000 online championship. When you see a $400,000 online championship, what do you think first place is?
400,000, probably 150.
Yeah, 150. I don't know how many tickets they're going to end up issuing. They do have qualifiers at a few different price points. There's a $1 one tonight that has only less than 60 spots left if you want to get in that. They have a 34, a 63, and a 151. Brian, are you excited about the online championship?
Sure. Yeah, why not? Get in some good ones before the other sports start to come back.
I heard they're hosting it at the online Playboy Mansion. So everyone just kind of pulls up a Google image of the Playboy Mansion, and it's basically just like all the other live finals.
I'm sure that'll be fun for everybody.
Yeah. So I mean, it will be exciting for the first live final I make it to be an online live final. DraftKings, if you're listening, I'd like to MC it. I think Lolz would be a great MC for the online championship. And I think this community we built could really take the event to the next level. What do you think?
Oh, well, let's do it. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to have us professional who just did 20 minutes on there's rigging in League of Legends.
All right. I got to give a shout out to a guy in the comments, Eric Johnson. He was, much like Danny Woodhead back in his days, he was the first one in the building. First comment. He also told us a few minutes ago he was leaving to go play poker, but he's back saying he wants real sports, please. So, Eric, I appreciate that you're still here and that we are so irresistible that even when you state that you're going to leave, you can't bring yourself to leave. That's the kind of staying power we have here at Lolz.
What a wonderful guy. Thanks. Thank you, Eric. Maybe did he ask a question we haven't answered yet? No, we got them all. I think we got them all.
We go. I did want to just one final button on the 4-3. I think we all agree that if you're trying to solo ship a big contest, that's going to be very, very, very hard to do with 4-3. What are your thoughts on 20 max, 3 max, single entry? I assume it's more viable there, but what do you think?
Yeah, because they're going to have less total entries in it. Anything with less total entries, then you could stick with a 4-3, or 4-2-1. I wouldn't be afraid of a 4-2-1, and if it's got 500 plus entries, I don't care if it's single entry 3 max, just as long as there's not 25,000 people in it.
Yep. So there you go. So when we say, we're updating our refrain, 4-3 stacking, if smaller contests, and if you're not a simp that's looking to split 100,000 with 90 other people.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds about where I'm at.
I do want to just check in on our like count, and it's looking like as of right now, we'll be around for 20 or so more minutes. I don't think Brian's going to have to give up the goods on his pick to help you win 100,000 tonight. We're only at a net 17 likes. I set the goal a little higher this week. Last week I think we had net 30. The show is growing at a rapid pace. We have 37 people watching right now. All it takes is all of those individuals to like, and Brian will release the goods. But that's all I got to say. Do you want to threaten people?
No. It's probably because my last 2 weeks picks have been garbage. It's I don't want it. I think I had that one where I had ad got 0.4 points or something.
Hey, Brian, when we're trying to sell people on
Yeah.
liking and for you to give them the pick, you're not supposed to kind of just debase your own picks. Okay. Can you just do one more take and say that you have the nuts and that you refuse to tell them unless we get 35 likes? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll give the nuts out, guaranteed winners if we get the 35 net likes.
Okay. I will say Eric has been requesting that real sports come back in the chat. I would say esports are real sports too. However, we do like other sports. We had a false start thanks to Dana White on UFC. I thought we were going to potentially be getting that a week from Saturday. That's not happening. But Brian, it does appear that at least with golf, we have a date on the books that I think we can maybe circle with some kind of certainty.
Yep. June 11th, based on PGA Tour reporting, Golf Digest, this Brian Wacker fellow. Looks like that's when
Wacker says it, man.
Yep. Looks like that's where they're shooting for, June 11th. So what do we got? 2 months from now?
Yeah. 2 months. Although Dana White is now back out here promising, I think it's a mid-May. He's said now they're going to host them at the UFC facilities in Las Vegas, even though the existing Las Vegas, gaming commission has said, no events until further notice. This is all I'll say about Dana White, guys. We said this last week. I mean, I really appreciate his optimism. I really appreciate his enthusiasm, but let's just not hang our hats on anything he says as being gospel, because all it does is lead to, I wanted there to be UFC coming next week. That would have been really fun, but it wasn't a reality. And so I just need Dana White to cool it with the false promises. Like when my parents told me we could get a dog someday and then Christmas rolls around and they didn't. That's where I'm at. You want to actually know what's so sick about this story, Brian? So my brother and I wanted a dog so bad. My parents did the ultimate troll, the ultimate toxic move. They got a stuffed animal life-size dogs. And I kid you not, we came down for Christmas. They were these Doberman Pinscher stuffed animals. I think they got them from Costco, literally life-size. I freaked the hell out. I thought there was just a perfectly behaved Doberman Pinscher underneath my Christmas tree. And it was a goddamn stuffed animal. My Dana White pulled my parents' move circa 1997, and I will not stand for it.
Wow. It's he triggered you, huh?
He triggered me.
Do you think he's going to be the first? Let's consider them a major sport. Do you think they're going to be first if you had to bet an over under of who's going to come back? Do you think he's just gonna by sheer force of will make something happen?
I do, because I think if this next one gets shut down, I swear to God, he'll rent a minivan and smuggle 2 fighters in there and stream it on his own Periscope. He just does not want to take the L on this, and he's gonna force something through somehow.
Yeah. He's on the Trump's whatever commissioner's board too.
Yeah.
So he's trying so hard.
How ridiculous is that board? It's the main sports commissioners, and then we got Dana White on there, and then Jerry Jones. We just have Jerry Jones on there for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta throw Jerry in there, I guess.
Yeah. I just imagine Trump sending him a text and he'd be like, hey Jerry, I'd love to have you. It's a great board. You'd be great.
Maybe it's the other way around. How am I not on this fucking board?
Yeah, Patel says in the chat, this has been another thing about how the WWE was able to host their event because they were considered an essential business.
Right. Yes, in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that more essential in MMA?
I know. And it's even, you would think it would be even less of a kind of a production footprint than WWE.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, we've said this on other episodes. They turn over each time, and the fighters do combat each other or touch each other, but there's only 20 of them in a night, something like that, and then everyone, the whole staff is turnover, the whole stadium's turnover. I mean, if a sport's gonna take a crack at it, I could see them doing it. Another one is baseball.
Yeah.
because they either have to try something soon, right? Like, probably before the PGA's June 11th date, or they just got to pack it up. It gets too cold.
Yeah, or just massively shorten the season.
Yeah, they could do like a 30 game season. Like,
I might become a diehard baseball fan if I only had to commit to 30 games.
30 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would at least get some money. Like, I don't know how they work out the pay for the for the players. So they get a full salary for 30 games play. Either way, like, they have to try it. They have to try to get out there, even if it's just like one of those crazy ideas of just playing in Arizona. Everybody, just like the outlaw golf.
Yeah.
Just like the outlaw and playing all the spring trainings. But the point I'm trying to make is they have to try something, or they're done. They're, it gets too cold already. In the World Series.
Yeah. And I think one interesting thing is going to be, because a lot of these leagues are obviously faced with a similar predicament, and some of them have more variables they have to deal with than others to get things working. But I do really think you're going to see the creativity, the out of the box, the progressive thinking highlighted by these organizations, and which are the ones that can be flexible, be adaptable. I know people didn't love the horse competition or whatever, but at least they're trying. They're thinking of stuff. And the thing I keep coming back to, we all love sports. At the end of the day, sports is entertainment. We like this version of entertainment. And there's nothing to say that they can't package these things up in different ways under the circumstances and still provide us with entertainment. And I think we're going to really see which of these, organizations are actually capable of being creative.
Yeah, my guess is none of them. I think they know how to do one thing, and that's the product they've been doing for 100 years. Like, I don't see them doing anything. They have to play each other. Like, they need the athletes out in public, and maybe they'll come up with some stuff. And the ones that do already basketball, they could do the same thing, like with a 3-point contest. Like, you don't have to really be in the same stadium to have a 3-point contest either.
Yeah.
So you could do that. You could definitely do a dunk contest.
Yeah.
That would probably be the coolest one.
And the thing is like, I think what's kind of stinks, right, is a lot of them are kind of in a holding pattern right now. They're trying to see, are regulations and stuff going to get relaxed so they can proceed as usual. But I'd rather them start planning a really sick dunk contest a month in advance, like lay the groundwork for that so that can happen and we can all look forward to it and enjoy it and gamble on it, as opposed to just being like, oh, we'll just wait a month. Hopefully it clears up. And then we get a month later and like, yeah, we got nothing. It's like, right. Let's start getting some of these alternative ideas in motion now.
Well, what can you do with baseball?
I don't know.
I think they're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. They have to get out there. NASCAR is probably doing the best job with the iRacing that is on DraftKings.
Kyle Larson might disagree.
Oh man.
I love that, like, these NASCAR guys, all they did was ask them to play a video game at home. And they can't do it without rage quitting, without throwing around racial epithets. Like, It's just a disaster.
That couldn't really have gone worse. Like, seriously, like, what else could have happened? And they crashed. I sent a tweet out about this. They crashed, I think, in the first 18 laps. They crashed like almost every single lap, really, because it added up. Because once you crash, you have to do the caution laps, and you're going around, and they count those. So it was basically they'd start, crash, start, crash, start, crash. Bubba Wallace raid quit. Start, crash, start, crash. It was just a clusterfuck, the entire thing. I thought it was kind of fun. If they could just be a little bit better and not crash every other lap, it could actually be.
It is wild. I mean, people said it. I mean, someone won $100,000 on that contest 2 weeks ago.
It's amazing. And did they solo ship that? I don't remember.
I believe he did. I believe the guy solo shipped it. Imagine, for me, like, okay, you've won tournaments. Imagine me going and telling, like, the people in my life, I'm like, yes, I had a huge takedown. And they're like, oh yeah, how much? I was like, 100,000. They're like, holy shit, 100,000. We're like, is that new League of Legends stuff you've been doing? No, this was men that are actual race car drivers that were playing a video game that some of them have just picked up for the very first time.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Wait, what? And I was like, yeah, but let's just not ask questions.
I think that's how it would go.
Well, what would you tell them if you won a League of Legends 100K?
I'd say another day at the office, honey.
16-year-old Asian guys playing a game, but there is a difference. They play a ton and they're actually talented at it, as opposed to these NASCAR guys who looks like they literally just tried to start playing it. Some of them.
I know that is the thing. It would be like it would literally be like if we said, all right, the NBA guys are going to start playing League of Legends and we are all going to bet tens of thousands of dollars on it collectively. Yeah. It'd be like watching, LeBron James try to control the mid lane. It would be
NBA 2K.
Yeah.
NBA
but those
2K.
guys, I get the vibe that those guys play a lot of NBA 2K.
Yeah, no. Well, just like this, the NASCAR looks like Wilson Byron and Timmy Hill looks like they're pretty good at it. They're heavy favorites, and Timmy Hill's not good in real life, that's for sure. I shouldn't say that compared to the top NASCAR drivers, but I bet it's like NBA 2K doesn't want that to happen. Like they don't want to be involved in gambling. But if they did make it happen, there'd be 100K to first in that on DraftKings. There would be.
Yeah. The funny thing is the reason there's I think people are coming into League of Legends. They're playing a little while. If they don't immediately win, they feel a little snake bitten. But then they just throw in the lobby, oh, there's something new. It's NASCAR guys playing iRacing. They're like, okay, I'll max enter that just because it's the shiny new thing.
Yeah. No, they've all filled. It does seem like we've gotten towards some sort of cap on this, right? Like like League of Legends is they've kind of figured out how much they can get in the championship. Counter-Strike and has kind of plateaued, it looks like, in their prize pools. They're not really going any higher. Rocket League has a big one coming up this weekend. But it doesn't seem like we're going to get, I think my $1 million League of Legends idea, although I did think it was a dog. I think there was a lesser chance than I thought that was going to happen. Unfortunately, I think we've kind of plateaued the amount of people that they can get.
Yeah. I do just want to talk about just kind of a tender moment happening right now in the chat. Eric, I gave you a little bit of crap for saying you wanted to leave and still being here. You just asked if you play video games, are you considered an athlete? Producer Taylor hopped in and told him that he could be. And I just want to say that is a touching moment. It speaks to the community we've built here. We've taken people that are perhaps jaded about video game playing. We've built them up. We've built this sport up. We have normalized it. We have made it a thing that you can feel comfortable going to the people in your life and telling them, I bet on esports. I am an esports athlete. Brian, how hard should we pat ourselves on the back for moving this stigma of esports towards something positive?
I think we should take 100% responsibility for that wonderful action. Is pool a sport?
Pool? Billiards? Yeah.
NASCAR?
Of course.
NASCAR is a sport?
Yeah.
Golf's a sport, right?
Golf's a sport.
Okay.
Is poker a sport?
I would have to say chess and poker are not sports.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no hand-eye coordination being used.
What about in that speed chess? Those guys are moving fast.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe speed chess. Maybe speed chess qualifies. Plus, you can burn 30 calories doing that or something.
Yeah. Taylor says, is fishing a sport? I'm going to go ahead and say regular fishing, no. Not like just deep, but I will say fly fishing because it meets Brian and I's criteria of needing some hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, I think you need some hand-eye coordination, some strategery, which you need in fishing, I'm told.
Yeah. Well, Brian,
I don't know if you've seen, but there have been, it seems like a lot of fantasy people who are leaving sites right now. Is now the time for me to announce
Uh-oh.
that I will be doing Lulz until the day I die because I love this show and I love you guys.
Wow, you scared me. I thought the great exodus continued on Lolz. It'd be solo ride.
I mean, you know me, I follow Siege and everything he does, and if he's quitting, I'm quitting.
I was gonna announce I was leaving Osmo 2.0, my site I was trying to start, but I didn't think enough people would get that reference.
Yeah, because it's awesome 2.0, remember?
Oh, right. You gave me even better URL that I should have went with. Yeah, so like I'm checking Twitter right now to see if there's been any more defections, but looks like we got about 3 or so people leaving some daily fantasy sites.
Do you think it's just a byproduct of kind of the fantasy industry being in this weird kind of tumultuous spot, or do you think it's just independent of that?
Yeah, maybe it's just a coincidence, and there's nothing to any of this stuff. Obviously the elite fantasy guys that Tommy G kind of had a long conspiracy thread he posted where maybe that was the reason that they didn't want to stay there. That is pure speculation.
Marcus in the comments says it's now that everyone's got their stimulus checks, they don't need to get their fantasy money anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's going to hold them over. Maybe there's another site in the works, and Osmo's going to have some competition from all these defectors.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Osmo was actually trying to do a coordinated attack on the Lolz servers just because he was hemorrhaging subs to our site.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. And, he could do it just by, a neural connection to the back of his skull. So it doesn't even take that much effort.
Yeah. Actually, I just remembered a comment earlier that I forgot to read. Jake said that Osmo was paying him to write up his strategies to proliferate them, and then Osmo would change his strategy. So even though we thought Jake was an independent actor, he's actually part of the whole conspiracy as well.
Wow. I didn't think they'd go that far. But
how deep does the toxicity run in this space?
I don't know. Maybe there's a connection between Osmo and and
Tom Hanks.
Definitely Tom Hanks.
Oh man, I will say, I mean, we at least indulge. I mean, everyone wants a good conspiracy theory today. I mean, what more do you like? You can talk about Tom Hanks all you want, but I'd rather talk about RNG, baby, because those guys are compromised.
Yeah, that if there was one League of Legends team owned by Tom Hanks, most likely it would be RNG.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lolz site, the Lolz model, I mean, we are at 28 likes, and I will have no problem turning the lights off on this show tonight without the hot, sexy ass pick to help you win $100,000 if we don't get to 35 likes. I mean, we set goals. We set realistic, attainable goals. There's 34 people watching. I even have a like in my chamber. Should I feel like using it? I, from my account, Brian, have not liked the video. So theoretically, we talk about net likes. Net likes could realistically be 34 likes, just depending on how I'm feeling. But right now, people need to step it up if they want it. Unless you're feeling more generous than I am right now.
I'm happy to do it. It's your call.
All right. No, I think we need it. Just that quickly, we're up to 30 likes. We need at least 4 more likes. Brian, have you taken a look at the slate at all for tonight?
I did a little crunch before we started. Ran 300 lineups of course, our favorite 4-2 now.
4-2 is our generation's 4-3.
Exactly. Yeah. Whoever was touting 4-3s, 4-2s is the new 4-3s. And
actually, I want to ask this real quick, not to interrupt you, because it's been a hot topic of conversation. How many monitors does Brick 75 have?
I have. I mean, did you see? I tweeted out my setup.
I did. I mean, the reason I'm asking is that there were so many I couldn't count. So I'm just having to ask how many monitors.
I actually have someone else handle how many there is, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the one of the closest kept secrets in the industry is how many monitors do you have? The monitor talk has been all the rage. Have you seen the Dave Gettleman photo?
No.
The GM of the Giants at his home office with his single computer.
Is that with the big binder?
Yes.
In front? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's who that was. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has this giant binder. The funniest thing about these photos, they did the GM of the Chargers one too, and I've noticed a theme of just these two photos. One, they're like clearly in a living room or family room space. There's no dedicated office, clearly because they're just at the facilities normally all the time. The other thing is like no monitor setup. The Chargers guy had like 6 different laptops. He just had them all open, just little like 12-inch laptops where he's just like, I'll use one laptop for a spreadsheet, one to watch film. And then the other funny thing is, yeah, they're just like in these nice living rooms, completely open space, no quiet. So yeah, this is how these GMs are adapting.
They still like, it's Moneyball still hasn't really gotten there. I don't think. I still think they have a lot of old school guys running the show for the most part. They might like hire analytics guys, but I doubt they're themselves much. Besides a few of the obvious ones. But
all right, guys, here we go. I am going to take it upon myself with my mouse. I am about to bring it down to do the ceremonial 35th like, and I swear to God, if someone does a dislike, I will retract it. Boom. 35 likes. You have just unlocked Brick 75's hot, sexy pick to win $100,000 playing the Insomnia special. Sorry, Taylor. I just wanted to do your sound effects for you there.
That was enlightening. Thank you, buddy. All right.
All right. Now we have to get to the goods.
So I'm liking Biggly Giggly Gaming. A decent amount, and let's see, what is their ownership looking? Not, fairly reasonable. 5-game slate, something like 15% owned. I'm not going to be afraid to stack there. Let's see if I could get my kind of lowest owned.
Oh my, Brian! Before you say anything, we are not at net 35 likes
there
anymore.
Was a dislike, wasn't there?
Oh wow, the movement on here is like watching the closing line movement on Pinnacle on League of Legends action. We were just pinging around. We are back up to 35 net likes, but I will cut Brian off should this change.
And eSports is an interesting matchup tonight. Have you looked at that one at all?
Yeah, I have. Because eSports, it looks like they're going to be a little more chalkier than eStar, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, eStar. The eStar versus top eSports. Yeah. They're way less chalky, eStar.
Yeah.
Than top eSports. But I mean, that should be a pretty fun match to watch, and that'll be in the morning too, right when you get up, buddy. You'll be drinking your coffee watching that one.
Watching those minions spawn.
Yeah, so I mean, eStar was a favorite as of 6 o'clock. Let's take a look, which is kind of surprising, don't you think? Because I'm assuming
when I had it logged earlier, I had it pulled at eStar 56% chance, top eSports 48%, so pretty close.
Yeah, I have it at eStar at 56, top eSport 49, no with Vig. So, with Jackie Love back, that's kind of surprising. So I'd like to follow that late action. Not that I'm going to be staying up that late, but I wonder if that's going to change. But either way, the ownership projections are all again for Jackie Love, just like they were 2 days ago or whenever he came back.
Yeah.
So E-Star's somewhere you could get leverage. Combined with Bigly Giggly Gaming.
Bigly Giggly. Yeah, Bigly looks like they're one of the best values on the slate. It does look like they'll be decently popular. So I do think if you are going to use them, you probably want to get creative elsewhere in your lineup. But they do look like one of the better squads. And I will say most times on these slates, when FPX is on the slate, they garner a ton of ownership. People love playing FPX.
Yeah, right. And then they won their last one too. So they had that one sketchy game. They had that one sketchy game where there was the late line movement, and then they lost as huge favorites, right?
Yeah.
If my memory serves. But then they won 2-1 their last one. So people will probably be right back on the bandwagon. They're always super high owned.
Yeah.
If for long shots, HLE and Griffin are probably the ones I'm going to be taking shots at over LGD.
Yeah. And Griffin isn't too bad of a underdog. I had him at a 43% chance. So that's a nice one if you want to get on the slight side of a coin flip there.
Especially in the Titans Fury.
Yep. Well, there you have it, guys. Another night of lulls. Oh my goodness. To have that other dislike removed, the clean 36 net likes, 35 adjusted when you remove mine. I mean, what a great note to end on. We open the show with Eric Johnson in the chat. We finish it with Eric Johnson in the chat. He still has not gone to play poker because we are so compelling. You can't turn us off. Brian, do you have any final words before we bid the people adieu?
We went under 35 likes, but that's it. No more.
No more.
That's it.
All right, guys. For Brick 75, for producer Taylor, we will see you in the iRacing streets this Sunday. This has been Lolz.